Welcome back. Today's video is an apology, or as I like to call it, an amends. And if you haven't seen my videos on that, there's a difference between an apology and amends. Amends is when we recognize a perfect imperfection, we put a plan in place to deal with it. And so let me explain. I just started working with a new client who's been watching all my videos, and she came to me because she recognized she has a lot of issues with codependence and a lot of unhealed trauma from her past. And she knows a lot of the things I talk about, how to heal the pain from the past. And one of the aspects is around shame and how shame is placed into us and we have to give it back. Well, she had an incident this weekend where she did something in her own words, which was horrible. And she was talking about, look, I'm trying to give the pain back and give the shame back. And it just hit me, like my soul just dropped. I'm like, oh, shoot. I haven't done any videos on what is healthy shame. And so I've only characterized it as something bad. And primarily what most of us recognize is the dysfunctional shame. But there is a difference between healthy and dysfunctional shame. And so my amends to all of you is to describe what is healthy shame so you know the difference, because it just broke my heart that, we just started working together. So, these things come up, but that in all the information I put out, I'd never done a video on this because it could have really helped her after a very difficult weekend. So, that's what this video is about. I'm going to talk about what healthy shame is, why it's healthy to experience, and how you can deal with it. And the first thing to recognize about healthy shame is, and why it's good for us, is because it clarifies our morals and values. Like, for instance, my client, she did something that went completely against her morals and values. And, the next day when she woke up, she did everything she could to apologize and let the other person know, this is not who I am. I don't want to do this. I need help for this, and I'm getting help. I'm working with Kenny. So do you see, when we see our behavior, it's like me. This is healthy shame. I feel a sense of shame. My God, out of the hundreds of videos, why the heck haven't I talked about healthy shame? People need to know this. And so what did it do? It clarified my morals and values. That reconnects us to our authentic self. And so, like, my client went to, the person she offended and was like, hey, this is not my authentic self. I don't want to be hurtful to you. And it's the same for me. It triggers empathy, a recognition of, man, my imperfection had an effect on you. That means something to me. And that also clarifies, okay, I know right from wrong. I value. You remember morals and values. If you haven't seen it, I've done videos on it, on codependence, how to determine your morals and values and the difference between the two. I urge you to look them up. But my value is to provide people with all the information to heal. Well, I didn't provide this. Therefore, my moral is good or bad. Well, I feel bad. So what's my amends? Put a plan in place to deal with it. Well, that's exactly what she did. That's healthy shame. We want that. Number two, this is the healthy part of shame. We make amends, but not just to others, but to ourselves. Look, I'm perfectly imperfect, and so is she. She's just learning about codependence recovery, just learning about shame, just learning how to heal the pain from her past. My gosh, that's just so much to place on her feet and shoulders, to carry the burden of knowing all of this. And frankly, for me too, I'm human. I can't always think of what every person needs and every little tidbit. A lot of times I'm like, God, I've talked about everything. Nobody wants to hear another damn thing I say. And I run out of ideas. Well, bingo. I'm like, oh my gosh, here's an idea I hadn't thought of. I hadn't remembered. I need to talk about this. But do you see how it gives me the opportunity to accept my humanity, to accept my perfect imperfections, and love that it's okay that I'm perfect. And look at what happens when we see our imperfections. We get the opportunity to act on it. And this is what's healthy about shame. That gives us a sense of forgiveness and love for ourselves that, look, once I saw it, I did something. I like that about me. And that's how we resurrect that pain into a sense of self-respect and self-care and self-love. And finally, number 3, it spurs action. Look at just her telling that story. Look at how much action it spurred for me. And in her own life, she ended up, as part of her story, she ended up calling a bunch of friends. She put a huge list of plans in place to really double down on her recovery. Bought my book, bought some courses. Like, she put a massive plan in place because it was so devastating to her of, oh my gosh, these are not my morals and values. I'm changing this now. That's healthy shame. Now, what we will find is, as we work through this, especially in recovery, I had to discover this, we will get what I call shame burps. And we've been so detached from our behaviors and actions that once we start to recover, literally out of nowhere, you'll be at lunch, you'll be out for a walk, you'll be doing some activity you enjoy, and you'll get a flashback memory of some imperfection. I have tons of them about my kids. And they just, like, to me, it's like literally I feel a physical, I call them shame burps. And those will happen throughout the recovery process, but they do recede. The more, and here's the secret to get them to recede. When they come up, don't re-victimize yourself and belittle yourself. That's where the humanness and the acceptance and the self-love for our perfect imperfections must come in. That's why the shame burp is showing up. It's an opportunity to go, man, I know you're imperfect. Yes, do I need to make amends? Do I need to put a plan in place? Do I need to take action? Okay, I've already done that. Now I just need to forgive myself. An example for me is stuff around my kids. I for a long time, this one really got me. My parents, the way they parented us was 7 a.m, kick us out, lock the door, spend the day outside. You're on your own. Food, figure it out. And I thought that was normal. Well, I remember doing that to my youngest daughter. I think she was 7 or 8. Maybe she's older. I don't know, somewhere between 8 and 10. Somewhere in there. And I kicked her out for the day. And my ex-wife and I went car shopping. Like, why didn't we bring her with us? Why didn't we hang out? Like, but the parenting I grew up with, that my parents would go look at houses. I was just doing what I knew. I didn't know any different. Now, sadly, I would have liked, do you hear I'm not using should or could? I'm saying I would have liked. I think those two words, should and could, I would love to see them stricken from the English language. They are shame-based, they're horrific. No, we shouldn't or couldn't have done anything. We did the best we could where we were in the moment. That's what I was taught. No one had given me any other skills and tools. How should I or could I have done anything different when that's all I've been taught? It doesn't condone my actions, but I put a plan in place. I've done the recovery work. I've done the healing work. And so when that memory would pop up of how perfectly imperfect and frankly abusive, it was abusive. What I did to my daughter was flat out abuse. But see, I did the work to own that and heal it. And so that's the recovery, is to go, I did it. And I'm proud of myself for that. I would have liked to have been a different person. I would have liked to have known this information and had that recovery before I ever had kids. But that wasn't an option. But I am proud of myself for the way I expose it to you, all the different things I do to heal from it. That's the key to making sure that shame stays healthy, is we don't drop into and just start beating ourselves up again for the perfect imperfection. That keeps the shame alive. That's us re-victimizing ourselves, and that is us playing God. If you're spiritual at all, I don't care what spirituality, the basic premise is anytime you make a mistake, you're forgiven. Well, if you're not going to forgive yourself, you have just elevated yourself into a godlike position. and gone, no, you don't deserve it. Well, that means you have placed yourself above God. So people think they're being humble or being honest when they won't forgive themselves. Oh no, you're being massively grandiose, massively arrogant, inadvertently, covertly arrogant, powerful, and destructive to yourself and others. It is not humble at all. It is a power play to take the place of God. And that, at least in my experience, I've never seen that work out well for anyone. So remember that. We all deserve forgiveness. All of us. I don't care what we've done. We all deserve forgiveness. We are human. We will make mistakes. Okay? So there you go. I hope that helps you. If you like it, if you think this was helpful and you forgive me for my perfect imperfection, please like it. If you think this will help somebody else, if you hear somebody re-victimizing themselves, they're not forgiving themselves for their perfect imperfection, please share it. Leave me your comments. Let me know how you've learned to make amends to yourself and forgive yourself. And as always, shame is a difficult process, but make sure you enjoy the journey.